course of the weekend of October 26th, Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix Joker passed Deadpool and became the highest-grossing R-rated movie of all time. Not only that, in its fourth weekend of release, the movie reclaimed its #1 spot at the domestic box office. It has cleared $850 million worldwide, and it's not outside the realm of possibility that it may cross the $1 billion threshold yet. Many will be very, very happy about all of this, but one who decidedly won't be is the previous Joker, Jared Leto. He won't like any of this, not one bit. In this editorial, I'll first explore the machinations behind why Jared Leto was never going to play the Joker again, and why from his point of view, the continued success of the current Joker does nothing but cast a shade on his. Then I'll cover how astounding the success of the current Joker really is, and whether or not that success means that Phoenix Joker might be back in sequels. If you like the content of this video, then please help share it, and if you haven't done so already, then please hit subscribe, and make sure you indicate that you want notifications for every video. Existing subscribers should also check that they are indeed still subscribed, and have notifications set as well. That out of the way, let's dive in, shall we? We can't talk about any Joker performance without bringing up Heath Ledger. Audiences worldwide were blown away by his Oscar-winning interpretation of the Joker in The Dark Knight back in 2008. And the fact that he tragically passed before the movie was even released further cemented that performance as not just iconic, but beyond iconic. Urban legend has it that portraying the Joker took such a toll on him that it in turn led to the substance abuse which in turn caused his death. Ergo, playing the Joker is what killed him. That is a myth. It isn't accurate, but the story stuck and furthered the legend of Heath Ledger's Joker. To say that his act would be difficult to follow doesn't really do the situation justice. Back in my neck of the woods, however, we do have an expression which I feel adequately describes it. Translated into English, this expression goes, jumping after Vircula, and it refers to the practical and psychological difficulties associated with embarking on a task where one's immediate predecessor has accomplished an unusually good job, to the point where no one really cares how you are doing, as the surroundings might have spent all their attention and enthusiasm admiring and applauding your predecessor, leaving only a spectator vacuum for you. So to follow Ledger and become the Joker to star opposite Affleck's Batman in the first iteration of the DC Cinematic Universe, or Extended Universe, or whatever they called it that week, Warner decided they needed an actor of a very high caliber to take on the role. You see, this was going to be their Loki, their villain #1, who would show up in many, many upcoming movies for years to come. The character would first appear on screen in David Ayer's Suicide Squad, and for casting they went with Oscar-winning actor Jared Leto, and equipped him with tattoos and everything else gangsta, while Leto himself went deep method and terrorized his castmates by sending them dead animals and used condoms and other nasty stuff, all in the name of getting into character, and presumably to have them react to him appropriately on screen. This was of course all leaked to the media prior to the movie opening, probably in an effort to drum up hype and enthusiasm for the movie, and for Leto's performance. At the time, the plan was for this Joker to appear both alongside Harley Quinn in future Harley Quinn solo movies, as well as in future dedicated Joker solo movies, on top of in future Batman movies. So it was kind of a big deal that audiences responded to this Joker. They did not. Now, it should be said that his performance does indeed have some fans, but these do not make out the majority. No, the majority could not get over his tattoos, found his performance to be hammy, and the movie he appeared in to be pretty bad. Making matters worse, most of the scenes he filmed were left on the cutting room floor, so his role was reduced to a glorified cameo, while the belly-dancing Cara Delevingne was the movie's main villain, a creative decision writer and director David Ayer would come to regret after the fact. Despite the successful run at the box office, the movie itself did no wonders for the by then already fledgling DC cinematic universe, and audiences had not warmed up to Leto's Joker. On paper, he was still lined up to reprise his role, but where and when and how was up for debate, and not one that was going very well, I might add. What happened behind the scenes in the aftermath of Suicide Squad? Well, actually, it wasn't the aftermath of Batman v Superman, but that just so happened to correspond with the aftermath of Suicide Squad. Was that Zack Snyder and his team, who up until then had creative control over DC on film, were increasingly sidelined and eventually ousted. That spelled trouble going forward, because it was on their watch that Ayer had been appointed to direct, and both Leto and all the other stars had been cast. But now, they were no longer there to continue the vision they had started and the plans they had set in motion. Snyder and his team were replaced by Peter Berg and Jeff Johns, and instead of pushing forward with the Suicide Squad spin-offs, they left them hanging in development, while they instead greenlit Aquaman, Shazam, and Wonder Woman 1984. But before even Aquaman, the first movie to be greenlit by them, was released, they were themselves ousted and replaced by Walter Hamada. By then it was Hamada, who was 2 regimes removed from Snyder, who would decide which movies got made next, and who of the Snyder-era cast would still be in them. This was around the time when Todd Phillips pitched his Joker movie starring Joaquin Phoenix. As far as we on the outside know, Joker was the first movie to be greenlit by Walter Hamada. This did not sit well with Jared Leto. The Hollywood Reporter broke the scoop that he even tried to kill the movie in its infancy through the medium of his agents. Reportedly, he felt, quote, alienated and upset when they moved forward with a different Joker. In his defense, Leto hadn't signed on to play Joker in just Suicide Squad, but a whole host of movies, including a spin-off solo movie. Alas, he had instead been strung along for the entirety of the Johns and Berg regime, only for the Hamada regime to greenlight the Joker standalone movie that Leto always wanted, but for another Joker, not his. His Joker was strung along even under the Hamada regime. The intention was still for him to reprise his Joker in some Suicide Squad spin-off or another, although no one still knew which one or when. The argument went that the Todd Phillips Joker movie was just a standalone movie anyway. Leto's Joker was the canon DC Cinematic Universe Joker. That at least was the official story, right up until James Gunn was hired to direct Suicide Squad 2, or rather The Suicide Squad, for it is a soft reboot of sorts. If James Gunn wanted to bring Leto's Joker back, he probably could have, but James Gunn has his own reasons for not wanting to work with Jared Leto. James Gunn is not a fan of Jared Leto, not in the slightest. In a number of tweets, some of which have since been deleted, James Gunn has more than implied that Leto has preference for girls under the age of 18, a preference which Gunn clearly disapproves of. You may recall that the only reason James Gunn was hired to do the Suicide Squad in the first place was because Disney fired him for his own history of tweets of a pedophile nature. The difference here is that James Gunn's tweets were just that, tweets. However disturbing they might have been, and I'm not disputing that they were, there has nonetheless never been an actual complaint filed against him, nor are there any rumors which remotely suggest he has ever done anything out of turn or even looked at anyone sideways. By contrast, Gunn seems to be of the belief that Leto's sexual preferences are very real and that he might have acted upon them. If Gunn is right about this or not, I don't know, but either way, Leto isn't going to want to work with James Gunn either, not with Gunn calling him out in public like that. So however you choose to look at it, Gunn's arrival on Suicide Squad signaled Leto's departure. On paper, there were still the other Suicide Squad spin-offs, and in the end, Hamada chose to greenlight, Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. But Jared Leto won't be in it. By all accounts, he was gone before the movie was greenlit, so it would appear that the double whammy of first greenlighting another standalone Joker than his, coupled with hiring James Gunn for the retooled Suicide Squad, just might have been enough that Leto said to hell with it and quit. He quit his agency too, in part because he felt they didn't stick up for his Joker enough. He did find new agents though, and for all we know, they could even have advised him that this Joker gig wasn't working out for him, and it wasn't going anywhere. If they did, that was solid advice. Audiences worldwide love Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. You can tell not just from the box office, not just from the repeat viewings and incredible box office hold, but from the movie's hold on culture worldwide. Just look at what was on primetime TV in my own country this weekend. And then there's the memes. Memes which go viral. However, these memes don't just celebrate Phoenix as the Joker, they celebrate all previous Jokers, except for Jared Leto, who is relentlessly mocked. It would appear that audiences really did not take to his Joker. Even if he said he's open to it, he'll probably never reprise that role. Going back to that expression, jumping after Virkola, Jared Leto already jumped after Heath Ledger. If he were to come back to the role at this point, he'd be jumping after Joaquin Phoenix too. An Oscar-winning actor he may be, but for the Joker, Leto wasn't the guy. Let's hope the upcoming Morbius the Vampire works out better for him. But to his credit, Leto made it so Phoenix didn't have to jump after Ledger. He only had to outdo Leto, which he arguably did. But will he do so again? As a general thing, Joaquin Phoenix doesn't do sequels. He was the top runner for Doctor Strange at one point, but he dropped out of that specifically because of the sequel commitments that came with the role. Likewise, director Todd Phillips has made it abundantly clear that this was a one-off, so the director and the star both agree, no sequels. However, that was before they changed their minds. More recently, both have been very candid about them having tossed around sequel ideas on the set, and I'm inclined to believe that those comments were aimed at Warner, kind of implying that where there's a will and a truckload of cash, there is a way. Truckloads of cash is, by the way, something that Warner has a lot of these days, thanks to the Joker. You know Avengers Endgame, the biggest movie of all time? The one that finally deposed Avatar from the all-time box office throne? It obviously grossed much more than Joker ever will, but it also cost much more to make. Because of that, Joker is going to become more profitable than Avengers Endgame. Not just in percentage or some number game like that, but in actual hard cash. Joker will produce more truckloads of cash for Warner than Avengers Endgame did for Disney. For Warner, that means that they will want Phillips and Phoenix to return for more, so I wouldn't be surprised if talks are happening as we speak. This is a huge win for Hamada, so he will definitely want more of it. But where does J.J. Abrams and his mega deal with Warner come into this? DC's sordid history with changing regimes may not yet be over. We'll keep you posted once we learn where the chips fall down, but till then, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments.